Okay, so it looks like you're trying to get a large language model, large vision model, large action model, large audio model, some foundation model cleared through FDA. Congratulations, you are on the cutting edge of technology. However, being on the cutting edge of technology has a double-edged sword. When it comes to FDA, something being new and being first isn't necessarily a good thing. Although you do get to set the rules sometimes for everyone that follows you, you are trailblazing a new path. However, there are certain things that we can learn from past experiences that should be able to guide our future experiences with FDA. I think this is why it's important to hire a consultant that also has software development experience, machine learning, data science, perhaps even a background in some sort of clinical practice. These experiences would help that consultant to understand the why behind existing FDA guidances, such that new situations like foundation models, that consultant would be able to give you advice on that. So most text-based algorithms using LLMs currently are not enforced by FDA. They generally fall under general wellness indications or a non-device clinical support category. Applications involving audio, video, image, or signal processing are considered medical devices and are subject to the FDA regulation. I expect, just given the deluge of text-based LLMs and applications in medicine, unfortunately, there will be adverse events. And because of those adverse events, I think the FDA will step up their game on trying to regulate these text-based applications too. So if you're in that category, my suggestion would be to at least be ready for that to happen. So some of the things that are important for foundation models that are a little bit different is you want to make sure that the foundation models hasn't been accidentally trained on your test data set. And really the only ways to guarantee that are to use data sets that were created after your LLM was frozen. Or if you're doing it retrospectively, you can either pick data that was collected after the foundation model was trained, or have other reasonable assurances that the foundation model was not trained on that data set. Also, I believe the size of the data set would have to go up significantly because the burden of proof for something new like this is going to be pretty high, in that there's a lot of unknown, and that FDA doesn't know how the algorithm works. Nobody really knows how it works other than describing the model architecture, but we don't really understand how the weights and how all the little fine-tuned variables give us the intelligence that we see. And with that, burden of proof is higher. And with that, you could decide to throw more data at the problem. So instead of a more traditional segmentation style network probably would have taken 100, 200 samples to reasonably justify the FDA. Now that's going to be 1,000, 10,000, 50,000, definitely at least an order of magnitude more burden of proof that's put on this, just because of the unknown, like it's a big black box. So FDA is still developing their approach to regulating foundation models, but there's certain best practices that we could follow given current FDA guidances, reading between the lines and back propagating to what FDA considers important. We can forward propagate that to the current situation on things like configuration management is really important to FDA. Things like making sure that the model produces the same results every time, or at least very similar results every time. Also, getting your data set being collected from multi-institutions, that's also important. As we move forward, it's important to remain informed about FDA's guidelines, but also try to predict what FDA will say in the future. And I think that's why it's important to select your consultant properly. You can't just ask them, have you done it before? I don't think anyone has done it before. If they told you they did it before, make sure you ask them for specific examples. But it's more important to have a consultant that really understands why the FDA has put out the guidances they did and the underlying technical considerations, even down to the models themselves and how they're trained, on how they work. Because believe it or not, the underlying technological characteristics, how something works, does determine the burden of proof, or does influence the burden of proof that FDA would expect from you. I hope you enjoy this article. We'll also go into a pre-sub that we did with FDA, where we got their key insights about how they thought about large language models. And this is a glimpse into, I think, what's yet to come in the future. Large language models, like I'd mentioned, there were a lot of use cases right now, but they're kind of flying under the radar. So FDA, in my opinion, still hasn't seen a lot. But as these large visual models and image processing capabilities are added on to Foundation, I think that's when we'll start to see a lot of movement in this category. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed the article, and I hope you continue to innovate in this field. If you're watching this video or reading this article, you are on the cutting edge. And I applaud you, and I wish you the best of luck. And please continue innovating and saving lives. Thanks a lot.